we're back. I'm Paul Fabrizio.
And I'm Don Frazier, and we're going through the Constitution line by line. We're now in Article 1, Section 8, Clause
10.
Are we on 10 now?
We're on 10.
What was 9?
Let's make sure. 9 was the inferior court.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Went by so fast.
Yeah.
So now we're on 10.
By the way, and we're using this great book, A Detailed Analysis of the Constitution. Edward F. Cook, thank you very much for guiding us along.
Thanks, Eddie.
So, here we are. This is your favorite part of the Constitution because it talks about pirates. The Congress shall have the power, that's the unspoken, now here's the actual words, to define and punish piracies and felonies committed on the high seas and offenses against the laws of nations.
So they can define what piracy is. That's the takeaway.
To define and punish. That's you need to think about that for a second, because is something a crime? Why is something a crime? You know,
because a society determines it as such.
Exactly. And so what happens is that Congress can say, okay, this is a crime. Can Congress later come back and say, no, that's okay? Yes, they sure can. They get to define it. And after they define it, then they get to come up with the punishment.
Correct. And so
it's cool to be in charge.
It is good. It's good to be king, as they would say. So one of the things that's interesting is we think of piracy as being, swashbucklers
I think about that all the time.
In the Caribbean.
Yes.
Or
Pirates of the Caribbean.
But what if an American citizen is operating a boat off the coast of Somalia to hit international commerce?
Okay.
Can we drop a drone strike on
him? Okay. In terms of answers, the fact that he's an American citizen, I'm assuming it's a he here, and that may be an incorrect assumption. The fact that pirate is an American citizen, of course, raises all sorts of questions about due process.
Sure.
We have using drone strikes killed Americans before.
Without due process.
Without due process. President Obama,
Obama
for example,
was
one of those who did that.
Yeah.
Because he was there as president when drones really developed this ability to do it. So that would really be something that would have to be worked out, and they would have to come up, again, going back to the definition and the punishment laid out for piracy.
Correct, but first you have to define him as a pirate.
Right.
And so, it's up to Congress to decide if this guy operating that boat off the coast of Somalia is a pirate to begin with.
Yeah.
Because sometimes one person's pirate is another person's freedom fighter or whatever else.
Yes.
And so Congress has to come up with a definition.
To the framers of the Constitution, piracy was a big deal. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely, because we're a merchant nation.
Was there that many pirates?
You would be surprised. And also piracy connotes as well smuggling.
Okay.
And if one of our major revenue streams has to do with paying duties, then we're also trying to shut down smuggling, which pirates by definition are participating in. So, for instance, the Spanish had a closed-loop economy. We often teach about mercantilism.
Mm-hmm.
The only way that works is if everybody's paying their taxes and going through the checkpoints, choke points, and pirates are really good at poking holes at that. A bunch of these pirates are Americans who are operating out of American ports. Mm-hmm. And so this piracy clause is also, hey, we're good citizens of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't like it when people do that to us. And so what we're going to do is we're going to regulate on our end what does and does not constitute a pirate. Now then, we've used pirates in the past to advance national concerns.
Okay.
So, for instance, South Louisiana has an area called Barataria. And Barataria was the haunt of smugglers and pirates and people that would go and steal stuff in the open seas or trade illicitly in the open seas.
While the United States existed.
That's right.
Was this before?
This is after the Louisiana Purchase. We inherited these guys.
Oh, wonderful.
And so we would go in there and try to break up Barataria from time to time, but usually the pirates had so much money that they would be able to buy their way through bribery out of trouble.
Okay.
Bunch of these guys actually aided in the defense of New Orleans against the British.
In the War of 1812?
That's right, in the battle that occurred there in January of 1815. All right. So we've got this sort of tie-in with piracy. We have this sort of precedent for we don't like piracy and we need to regulate it. But piracy is now going to, we think of Somalia pirates.
Yeah.
But we also need to think about narcotics traffickers.
Okay.
And how all that's going to play in there too. So this will give Congress the ability, if they choose to exercise it, to declare drug smugglers as pirates. Historically, Mexico would refer to American adventurers in their territory as pirates and subject to the laws of piracy. So it doesn't have to happen on the high seas.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
It depends on how it's defined. So Mexico defined it in a different way than is traditionally understood by the United States.
Exactly right. They issued a document called the Tornell Decree that said that anybody operating from a foreign power extra legally in their territory would be declared a pirate and would be dealt with accordingly, which gave them the opportunity to line them up on a wall and shoot them.
Wow.
So this is a big deal.
So why did the United States then define piracy only on the high seas?
I'm not sure it does. It just says we'll define piracy and we'll also regulate crimes on the high seas.
Okay. Huh.
And that's where you start to get Congress's reach, the federal government's reach, into American territorial waters.
Yeah. It says to define and punish piracies and felonies committed on the high seas.
That's it.
So piracies can be something else. Can piracies occur on the internet?
I think they can. I absolutely think they can. Now then, think about how piracy is essentially just stealing stuff.
Yeah.
International stealing stuff. And so recently there was an occasion over in Gaza.
Okay.
Where some of the folks that do not like Israel were engaging in cyber warfare.
Yes.
That included ripping people off.
Yes.
To fund their operation.
Yes.
And the Israelis responded kinetically.
Okay, define kinetically.
Boom.
It is.
Now, we've done that as well.
By the way, no.
Oh, we have. During some of the operations in Bosnia, that was actually hacking that we followed back to its source and dealt with kinetically. So it wasn't technically piracy. But
because I had just read what took place with Israel was the first time that one nation had responded militarily to cyber attacks.
It's not correct.
It's not correct. Interesting. Okay.
If you'll go back and take a look at the air war in Bosnia.
We attacked internet cafes or whatever they
No,
had.
actually, it was.
We're talking in the 1990s.
Yeah, it was a strike that landed in the basement of a foreign power's mission.
Okay.
Because they were hacking our aircraft. We were having a very high degree of inaccuracy in some of our weapons, and they had figured out how to hack hard points on attack aircraft. So then we just kind of back engineered where the signal was coming from. It says, hey, if you get hacked, follow it back to the source of hacking. And then a basement blew up at country X's diplomatic mission.
And that took care of that.
Well, it took care of them.
Right.
It did not take care of that.
Okay.
But
that's piracy in a different way.
That's piracy in a different way. And think about how pirates were dealt with historically. They were not taken in and given due process. A lot of times there was a tribunal on the command deck of whatever capturing vessel there was or whatever port.
And you escort them to the gangplank.
And usually you would hang them by the yard arm.
Okay.
And so you're not gangplanking them, over into the ocean. You're hanging them high so that everybody sees. And a lot of times pirates' heads were put, on display in and out of the ports and stuff. So, yeah.
Okay. All under the authority of the U.S. Constitution, which gives to Congress the power
to define it.
And punish it.
And punish it.
There we go. Anything else?
Nope, that's our line.
Okay. I don't think the Constitution mentions pirates anymore, or piracy anymore. Are you okay? Is there anything else you want to say?
I think
It's
that's
your favorite subject.
No, I'm just interested in, how do you regulate international crime, which is really what this is speaking to.
Exactly. All right. That concludes that line. We'll be back.